think.
Oh yeah, it says live. We're live.
Well, let me go to my channel here. Oh wait, here we are. I'm getting used to this delay, Ben. So it's like 6-second delay.
Nope.
So it takes me a minute. It's taking me a minute to get the hang of this. So everybody, hello. How's everybody doing? We got a few people coming in. I am chatting with the new kid on the block, high energy Ben Hennessy. I'm giving you that nickname now. You are a high energy individual.
That sounds good.
So Ben Hennessy, yeah, you guys can chat with me. I'll try to read out your chats, all that good stuff. If you want to get to know Ben Hennessy, like I said, he's a new kid on the block, high energy Ben Hennessy.
Thanks for having me on already. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that Mr. T thing you have going on here.
I got this when I was on an Australian walkabout. My Australian,
very cool.
Really, it keeps the sun out of my eyes in Florida.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like it. Well, I guess you've been all over the world, and sounds like, so we talked about an hour, maybe an hour and a half over the last couple of days. You came on our radar just kind of recently, maybe the last couple of weeks. I think I've been seeing you around for a while, but we just got kind of connected recently. Yeah. And I gather that you are an active fellow, an adventurous guy who's been all around the world, and now you are tackling comics. So Ben, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you've been, what you did, and how you got here to comic books.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you again for having me on, and it's great to be with everybody and be part of this. You know, if you look on Indiegogo, all these great big campaigns that are going on now and coming on after us, and so we're just very thankful for that. But I'm Ben Henderson from Cautionary Comics. B Hennessy, lots of different nicknames I go by depending on the night or what I've done. But yeah, Cautionary Comics. So I've traveled the world for 20 years. I've been a consultant. I've done a lot with corporate America, and that's given me the opportunity to travel globally, which has been great. But it also gave me the opportunity to write a lot. So I have lots of different books and screenplays and short stories that I've written that over the past 6 years, I wrote into one long comic book universe of 50 different titles, all interconnected with character development. And, you know, we really focus on the 4 axioms of our company is story, character, action, and fun. So that's what we want to put into all of our comic books. And then not too long ago, but it feels like forever now, Chuck Dixon has come on to write Ravage with us.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. So how did you land Chuck Dixon? And so you've never published a comic book before, right?
Never.
So how did you get we'll talk more about your past with comic books, but how did you get Chuck Dixon from a guy, a superstar, a legend, creator of Bane, and a guy right out of the gates? How did you nab that?
Luck, pure luck. Actually, the full story is on Bleeding Fool. If you want to read the real story, okay.
Okay. I guess does it involve whiskey? I'm assuming it does.
Whiskey, the Atlantis, the Bermuda Triangle. It involves spoon bending. So check it out. It's quite a song. But then we synced up on story. Of course, I always loved his writing, right? So you know, we got to talking, and we talked about different stories we can do and how we could collaborate and work together. And he said, you know, the one you're doing right now, Ravage, I like it a lot. I like the buddy angle. I want to amp this up, and we could do this. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I love the idea. So we're 50-50. We rewrote it. Now we're just doing some polishing, you know, just on a couple things. Of course, he's, you know, dialogue master, and, you know, I like him taking the wheel on a lot of stuff. It helps me. It's just been a great experience. So
you pitched Chuck on this, right? You pitched Chuck. This was your kind of concept that you would come up with, and you pitched him, and he liked it, and then decided he
pretty much
wanted to give voice to these characters in this world.
Right.
So why don't you tell us what was your pitch? What did you pitch Chuck? How did you sell Chuck on this Ravage comic book?
So originally we talked about, you know, the caution verse in general, right? Basically all of the stories. I pointed him to the website, cautionarycomics.com. Then we talked about what was on the website, and of course, you know, Ravage, Kill All Men. So I told him, you know, that's the saga. It's a 5-part structure, 5-act structure. It's written that way, 120 pages. It's the title is Ravage, Kill All Men, about 2 Army veterans that crash into a mystical jungle populated by a lost tribe of warrior women that hunt and kill men. So the men have to adapt to survive or die trying. And
Yeah,
well,
in my head, I see this as an '80s comedy. It was starring John Candy and Rick Moranis.
it's definitely
To
Grindhouse.
me, that's
Yeah,
what I
it's
want
gonna
to
be
see.
funny. It's gonna be
It's
funny.
more Grindhouse.
Oh, for sure, it's Grindhouse. It's action. It's 80s action and Grindhouse. You know, it's and it will, like we talked about things like Spies Like Us. Remember Spies Like Us with
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
loved it. Not that much comedy, right? It's more Grindhouse horror action kind of vibe to it, right? We have
Yeah.
mature readers right on top.
But there's an ironic contrast you're painting here with dropping these two. I guess they're really pretty masculine, tough ex-army guys in an island full of Amazons.
Yeah, and
So
they're really warrior women. They're a special. They're different and set apart from the entire universe called the Protectory, right? They have a very specific mission, and that's their mission, right? So they do not take fondly to interlopers coming into that society, right? No matter who they are.
Okay.
The main character's name is Randall Gunn. He's a like you mentioned, he's a former veteran. He's a jock. He's the epitome of kind of that when you think of that. Dumb guy or dumb buddy that always kind of falls over himself, but he's still that he thinks he's suave and everybody loves him and all the guys like him. Then his counterpart is Manny Mendez. He's an intel analyst, right? He really looks around at the situation. He's looking for danger, for risk, how he can mitigate it, how he can keep his friend Randall out of trouble. So that's the foundation of the story, right? The Protectory battle the evil Lazarson. They're a race of lizard men that worship this gigantic monster, and they believe that they're above everybody else. So
they're the Protectory. What are they protecting, or is that top secret?
That's top secret.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got to be something big then.
It is something big. It actually fits in with the entire saga. It goes from the jungle of the land of the Protectory to Mars in the year 2188 and beyond.
Okay, so you have kind of a series of books. This is kind of what you told me over the phone. Right. You have a series of ideas or IPs or projects that you are connecting in a single the Cautionary universe, right? So, what makes you different than from like what sets you apart? Are you the cross-gen comics of to the 21st century? Would you accept that label, or would you run from that label? How do you respond to that?
I don't know, but I would say this when I've been asked the question about differentiation is that for what I do think is that what is unique, what I've seen, maybe I'm wrong, but we have mapped out this entire 50 title structure. Each title has at least 5 books in it. And then multiple titles have 3 sagas in it. So 15 trade paperbacks per book. I wrote a lot. I traveled for 20 years. I had time in airplanes and hotels and watching people in different countries and just enjoying the food. And so I got the chance to write a lot. And luckily, I've been very fortunate that people have liked it. And I have some people coming on like Chuck and then a few special announcements that we'll make over the next few weeks helping to build the Cautionverse out. And
okay,
I'm loving, enjoying the ride.
And how's your experience going with Indiegogo? So Ben is running his first Indiegogo campaign. This is I guess your first crowdfunding campaign with Chuck Dixon on the book Ravage, Kill All Men. So you guys can go check it out and read the pitch over there and check out the artwork. See if that's something you want to get involved with. We bought a copy, so I guess I need to put that out there as a what do you call that? Whatever. So we bought a copy. So I don't know if it makes us unbiased or biased or whatever. But anyway, we're eagerly anticipating ours. How's your experience on Indiegogo? What's this been like for you?
Amazing. I mean, it was very easy to set up, much easier than I thought it would be. It's great to track. They have a great way to communicate with people asking questions. I've been very pleased with it. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. It's my first one ever. So I at least wanted to make one comic. That's my thing. It's on my bucket list. I like marking stuff off my bucket list. So I paid for one comic, right?
Yeah. But you wanted to do at least one comic book, but you wrote 50. So how does that happen?
I wrote 50 movies and books. All right. So like people say, hey, look, writing comics, a lot of people bring their screenplays or other intellectual properties and books, and that's true. So that's what I did. But I figured money-wise, financially, I'm going to do one book for myself, right? And I'm going to finance it. I'm going to self-finance it. And then I'm going to put it on Indiegogo and see if anybody likes it. And people have Thank you. You know, I wasn't sure if we'd get to even to 100%. Honestly, I thought it would be fun. I'll have my comic, and Jimbo did it. I love Jimbo. I love Brian. Then when Chuck came in, we're like, hey, you know, let's see if people respond to the story and what we're trying to do with the Caution verse and release more titles.
Okay, so we got a couple people that are saying they're bought it. We got a couple people that say Dick's out for Dixon. I guess that's really taken off, and we got a couple people that say they're thinking about it.
Hey,
you know, thinking about it's pretty good. I've had a lot. Hopefully, there are a lot of people thinking about buying Red Rooster too when we launch that, we can convince you over. What's that?
I said, just for a disclaimer, I'm buying Red Rooster.
All right. Yeah. Well, excellent. I hope so. Yeah, you know, I'm thinking. I thought last night maybe I would go back and check out your Indiegogo campaign, and I think we bought at one of the lower tiers. So I'm thinking about making an upgrade. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see by the end of this conversation.
Let me sell it.
Can you sell me on an upgrade for my Ravage Kill All Men Indiegogo purchase?
I think you're going to get. Let me tell you why you need to jump on board this now, where it's a rare opportunity. So we have with us right now a new cover that we're just announcing. This new cover is by the Graham Nolan with Chuck Dixon doing and working on Ravage. So me and Chuck are doing Ravage. Graham Nolan is now doing a metal cover exclusive Indiegogo. That's now for sale on Indiegogo. We also have things that won't be sold anywhere else. We have 24 of the original pages of Ravage up. You get all of the covers, everything signed with that package. We have a VIP challenge coin. We're going to be hosting parties at different conventions around the nation when we're traveling around in 2018, 2019. That coin will get you into some pretty nice stuff. We just had one in Orlando that was really fun. We had a customer appreciation event, big dinner, karaoke, some spirits. There's a lot of fun.
Okay, so you're selling what is this, a coin? So you're selling like a coin, and that's like access to that you're going to be hosting during your like a book tour. You're doing a convention tour,
right?
Oh, that's a neat idea.
Different comic book convention. So it says Cautionary Comics on it. It says VIP Indiegogo exclusive, and yeah. It's gonna be
okay. That's a cool idea, actually, because well, we were thinking about doing this for Red Rooster. So I've been throwing around these this rooster symbol called the Red Rooster Order of the Dawn. And if you are a big supporter, or if you've really believed in what we're doing over the last several months and weeks and even years, I'm inducting you into the Order of the Dawn, the Red Rooster Society. And so what I'm thinking about doing is offering like pins. Like that you can pin on your shirt, or maybe even like rings, but that might be a bit much. So that if you buy into a certain package, you get the Order of the Dawn package, and you get to be a member of the Order of the Dawn Society. It'll come with certificate and everything.
I think that's cool.
I think I might steal your idea, and it gets you all access to we'll have a party. We'll have the Red Rooster party and friends.
Yeah.
And if you're a member of the Order of the Dawn, you get in, no questions asked. You have all access.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't get it. It was like a challenge coin from like the military. You know, you can get them done. I have a collection of challenge coins. But yeah, you can make those. You can also make the ring if you want. It's not that difficult. I have different people that I make rings with, and
oh, okay. Oh, then we need to talk about that, because
for one of my comics coming up, you'll see in Cautionverse Nation #0 that's being worked on right now. It's a 3-part comic that'll give you 3 different stories. It's going to give you the story of the Offworlder, the story of Kilter, and the story of Morgog, which is our horror comic.
Okay, so is this something else you're planning to crowdfund?
We might just put it up as a perk, you know, something low cost, that they get people knowing what the Cautionverse is and what the stories are, but how it relates to Ravage.
Okay. I think you cut out for me a little bit there. I don't know if anybody caught that, but so let's try that one more time. So
I said we might make it a perk. Are you hearing me?
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
And then have 3 different stories in it, each 8 pages long. That one is a story called Kilter, one's a story called The Offworlder, and one's a story called Morgog, which is our horror comic. And it's just going to be a 3-parter, just to get people familiar with our storylines.
Okay. Well, that's a cool idea. I like that. And so you got a lot of ideas, and you got a lot of that's a lot of books to make. So how about your first of all, who's the artist on Raven? I'm not actually totally sure. I bought it anyway.
Yeah,
Uh, and what about your talent bench? Like, how do you plan to accomplish this? Because we could have a million ideas, and I have quite a few of my own. I have the Futurist. I have a few other that I'm just not talking about that I've just kind of got in the can. I'm sort of really pushing these two projects of mine, Red Rooster and the Futurist, to really start building an audience and hopefully a company and everything else that goes with that. And then we'll have more, but I'm not gonna tease too many of them. So how do you plan to accomplish this? Like, there's only so many artists out there. There's a lot of books to go around.
Sure.
What's your plan for talent?
Well, I had a friend tell me 100% surefire way to make a little bit of money, in comic books. You want to know what that is? Start off with a lot of money.
Yeah, well,
a little bit of money.
That might be a way to lose a lot of money in comic books. I don't know.
But no, it's I guess seriously, between crowdfunding, between seeing what people like, testing out the market. Right, people might like one story over another. That's part of why I'm doing I like that idea. I've seen other companies do it, of the having the 3 stories in one. Let the audience decide. Right, what do you want me to work on next? I have a big now. As for talent, I look for quality, right? So we are an interconnected global, really, community. There's talent all over the world. I guess it goes back to me traveling for so long, right? I have friends, and well, for example, my one of my favorite artists is out of Italy. He's working on the Off-Worlder. I have, of course, Jimbo is out of the Philippines. We work together every day. So the world's really small. We have a much bigger talent bench than I think people give credit for. It's about connecting the dots to get those talent to work together, and then you delegate your stories out and build up your comics that way. At least that's what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think we're taking a we're taking a cautionary approach, slow and steady, for what we're trying to build here with myself and Mark Pellegrini and Elizabeth, my wife Elizabeth, superstar colorist.
Yeah.
Check out her work on Batman. It's coming up soon. Yeah. And Kill or Be Killed, which is ending. That so you can. I think everybody should go read Kill or Be Killed. That's just something she did a beautiful job on. All right. So somebody, Jimmy Arnez. Jimmy Armez asks, are Ben's comics a shared universe? We kind of addressed that a little earlier, but that was early on. So go ahead. We got 75 people in here now. So why don't you address your shared universe again?
It is a shared universe. So I first wrote all of these as 50 different books and screenplays and short stories, even children's books. I have a series of children's books that will be released under Cautionary Tales. But even those children books have characters in them that have characterization, that grow. And as the kid grows or your child grows, they develop into the young adult comics. And that, of course, grows into the more action-packed and then mature horror comics and mature themed comics. But they're all in one shared universe. So I started out years ago after I wrote all these scripts. Took me about 6 years to reform all of this into a comic book universe. Because while it's good, I feel it's good starting out with a screenplay and that structure and thinking cinematically, it's still sequential visual storytelling is very different than cinema, just a different medium.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's a lot of gaps that have to be. It's just a different pace. It's a different pace altogether.
It probably would have taken Chuck Dixon 6 months. It took me 6 years to do it. Right. To combine all my stories into one that I felt was good enough that I wanted to put some money into. Because I started at first, I'm like, what, if I'm not willing, if I don't like this enough to, put my money where my mouth is and fund this, why should I expect anybody else to? Right. So I liked the art that was coming from Jimbo. I loved the storyline. We have number 1, done and or at least almost done. And now where it's definitely going to be released now that the Indiegogo is at 143%, I think. Right.
Okay. All right. So how many days are left on your campaign?
We did a 45-day campaign, so I think it's like 28 maybe days
okay.
We got that in the first couple of weeks we were funded, with the help of Ethan Van Sciver. He mentioned it on his channel, and my phone kept blowing up. I thought there was an emergency. have fun at home
Yeah.
or something. And it was
Yeah.
just a donation. So I greatly appreciate that. And just everybody, you know, thank you for having us on. Everybody that's retweeted us and mentioned us and supported us in this adventure. And we hope we won't let you down.
So, like I said, when we first started, you kind of came on my radar. I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I just started seeing you being kind of involved in, on Twitter and the discussions that would be going around, liking some of my stuff and all this kind of stuff, and seeing the Cautionary logo floating around. And we talked, basically got kind of introduced a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. What got you interested in comic books, and why are you here? So why are you in comics? Why are you showing up right now at this particular moment in comic book history? And it is historic, I think, what's going on. So
it is, and I'll tell you the whole real story. And I've only told, I'll tell you the whole real story. I wasn't really that involved. I wasn't on Twitter. I had like 8 people on my Facebook. I do a lot of coding. That's my background. That's what my work is. That's what my companies were. I wasn't really on Twitter. I didn't have my own YouTube channel. And then really it was my family on Facebook, and then some military buddies. And so I just wasn't active that way. And then my collecting habit was really art. I commissioning original art. I collect art from around the world and old comics. Right. So my kids, I have 6 kids, 3 wonderful girls and 3 wonderful boys. Right. But so I take them to the comic book shop and I'm saying, open up. Right. What do you want? Tell me what you want. So, as we're going through that process, I saw really a decline. Right. They're like, I'm not interested in it. I don't want to read it. It's okay. I said the same thing with Star Wars. Come on, kids, Star Wars, let's go. And that got me. I was like, man, I was outside playing for, a year that I was Luke Skywalker after I saw the first one in the 70s, or in the early 80s. So, I just saw them having other interests. And then I started noticing, I started looking at the new work. The quality of the storytelling, got me. And then I saw on all these weird attacks. I saw all these attacks at the comic book store. Now, when the way I remembered it, and maybe I'm nostalgic, but it was always just an awesome place. We always went in together. It didn't matter who you were, where you're from, what you like, what you don't like, what you look like. It was the comic shop. It was the comic book store, right? And you could go buy your stuff. And the biggest arguments was who's better and who would win the fight. And then you got to go and deal with the real world, that maybe wasn't always so nice, So I wanted to, do my part to bring that back I think, sadly, I hate to say it, but I think my kids having the same love and passion for it as we did or I did is gone. I think that time is gone for my kids, but I think my grandkids in the future, we could have this whole we can have what we had, I think. And I love the concept of artesian comic books, right? Prestige comic books. Everybody has a niche. Everybody wants their own, things. Everybody can make their own things, whatever that may be, right? But the wonderful thing about the internet is that corporations don't own creativity. And that's proven. You have access to creativity just through the internet, right? And you can pick the kind of creativity and escapism you want to ingest, and you want your family to ingest.
It's one of the strangest things about kind of the current generation of the arts is the sort of embrace of the corporate culture within the arts. Like, Papa Disney owns everything, and what they don't own, Warner Brothers parent company owns. And it's this idea that everybody's clinging on to these big corporate entities. And to me, that's like completely antithesis of what comic books really are, right? I mean, and what Star Wars was right out of the gate, and what Marvel was like 60 years ago. I mean, these were, ramshackled boats drifting off into the sea and having big adventures, and everybody's coming along because of the enthusiasm and the organic nature of the process.
Yeah.
Now it's all corporate, and it's so weird. It's so weird because people used to ask me when I was in high school, "Oh, Mitch, he draws all the time. He's the best artist in school. He must want to work for Disney." And I'm like, no, I don't want to work for Disney. What? I want to draw comic books. I like Wildcats and like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to draw for Disney. And so I ended up working for Marvel Comics. And then by the time Disney bought Marvel, of course, and then I did end up working for Disney for like 3 years before we parted ways with Marvel and kind of went out and did some other stuff on our own. So to me, it's really weird. What do you think about that? Do you think that the younger generation is going to be like, I'm tired of this, the corporate,
Oh, for sure.
top-down nature of the arts, and they're going to crave something different?
Oh, yes, I believe that completely. I know exactly what you're saying. I think the kids are doing that now. They're making their own new genres. They're making their own new music. What is the number one thing I see, or most parents I talk to, is YouTube. Is this channel, right? This medium is how they interact, with each other. Of course, apps like Instagram and, things like that. So, yeah, I think, creativity is going to be more like garage bands, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what got you into comics? Like what's your story with comic books? I think everybody likes hearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what's funny is way back was Savage Sword of Conan by Chuck Dixon in the 70s, because my, family would have it and I'd see them around, but those were more, I don't know, that then I got, those were more mature. Like, I was a little younger. Then I was able to get into, Batman and the Punisher. But what I remember vividly was my parents bringing me, when I was sick, they would always bring me a comic book. Or a couple comic books, old Spidey, and then we'd get up and watch, all the old Spider-Man cartoons, the old Spider-Man, right, and the old Batman, and then of course, everything, the Batman TV show. I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s, so all of those great things is really what led me down my road of loving comics. Then I started collecting them forever. Then I got into collecting more high-end comics and art, and then I kept writing, and I figured, hey, you know what? This is where I want to create now. This is kind of a reward to myself, being able to do this and have fun with it. So I'm going to create here and do what I want and create how I want.
Yeah. All right. So Bruce Patnout has a question, and I think we'll take just a few questions in the chat. If you want me to notice your question, you can @ me and write the last comic book artist. I think everybody kind of knows that now. So Bruce has a question. He's wondering if Ben or myself have any advice for building a following before going into crowdfunding. And he has a work in process project for building a following going slow for him. Yeah, I can relate to that. Hey, I mean, like, I was talking a little bit about this the other day with Mark on our show, and I'll talk more about this, but like for a couple of years, I was getting no traction, and I have an established track record in the arts and in comics and as an illustrator, and my wife does as well. And I didn't think a year ago we could raise $25,000. I really didn't. I didn't think we could raise $25,000 to bootstrap a comic book, and that is what it is. That would be complete bootstrap. Now it's totally different now. YouTube is a big deal, but it's certainly growing for me very, very quickly. I think, yeah, very, very quickly. Twitter engagement has become a big deal lately. This new level of enthusiasm of people coming back has been huge. People coming back into comics. People that are enthused about. I think people are tired of, in many ways, of the corporate nature of things, and they want this sort of ground level enthusiasm, the street level comic books again. And that's sort of bleeding over, and we're kind of harnessing some of that energy. I know Ethan's really riding the crest of the wave, but you're coming from nothing here. You're coming from, like you said, no Twitter account, no YouTube account, no previously published comic books, and you're able to get your work funded. How are you doing it?
Was that question to me?
Yeah, how are you doing it? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Coming from nowhere.
Sorry, I was just you broke up a little bit. I'll be honest with you. How I did it. If I didn't have Chuck Dixon take an interest, if I didn't have Ethan Van Sciver take an interest, you take an interest, Diversity in Comics take an interest in our work and push it out, I don't know if we'd be at 100%. I'll be honest. Yeah. I'm not a YouTuber. I joined social media. I joined Twitter end of last year. I wasn't very active. I wasn't, like I said. So you're right. It really does require PR. However, this has been a very great inviting community from what I've seen. A lot of support I've gotten support from Umbrella Guy, Yellow Flash, Edwin, just everybody chipping in, just everybody, Timothy Lim, helping.
Yeah. I think it's been fascinating watching sort of a cast of characters formulate around the support of a movement within comics and creativity. Guys like Edwin, who's like our wise philosopher, and Umbrella Guy, who's like a numbers running the numbers and has this sort of even keeled approach to critique and the nature of the business. Yeah, and then guys like Cecil coming in. We got to get Cecil on. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
My wife turned me on to Cecil and said, "You got to watch this guy. He is hysterical." And yeah, he's my favorite movie critic to date. So let's see. Somebody had another comment that I think MK Geiger said, "It's why I love comic book conventions. I tend to hit the small press areas where people are producing their work." So yeah, that's how I think that's, if you really want to build your audience, I think you got to start there still, and then that's where, I mean, if that's how I got into the business. I for 5 years trucked my portfolio around to comic book conventions and just worked my butt off. I would go all up and down Artist Alley trying to meet writers, editors, assistant editors, artists, looking for critiques, trying to get people to just really tear my work up. That's how I met Ethan originally. Ethan would give me some great advice and some encouragement along the way. And after 3 or 4 years of going to these conventions, really after a couple, and showing some pretty decent work around, but not being quite there yet, people start to remember you, and then you become like a face that's in their mental Rolodex, and from there you can approach editors and start to build these relationships and actually get paying in professional work. And that was my plan all along. From high school, I wanted to do independent comic books, not independent, but I wanted to do what Image was doing. I wanted to create my own stuff and work with really cool people who were out there taking big risks and making cool characters and new characters and doing new things. And I knew the only way to get there for me, graduating high school in '96, was to work for Marvel or DC and build a fan base, build an audience, build a reputation, learn the skills that I need to do this, and then over time become a better storyteller. And that's where I'm at today. Do you have anything to add to that, Ben?
Well, yeah, very much. I guess, very similar. We're about the same age. So I got out of Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I went to high school there for literary and media arts and writing and theater. And then I got accepted into London International Film School, which was awesome. I was going to be a filmmaker. I wanted to, anyway, I didn't have the funds to go. So I ended up going to the Army. It was a wonderful experience. And then from the Army, I went to college and I started working in technology, and here I am today. But I really kept those lessons. I ended up going to some courses. I took some courses online as well in creative writing. My degree isn't in writing, but other than I have certificates from some different universities, and I love, but just books like Robert McKee's story and some different. I love those, right? I think those are the best teachers. And then talking with writers. Mm-hmm. What do you do? Yeah. How do you approach dialogue? What's your trick? What do you do that's different than what I do? Right?
Yeah,
collect mentors and try to make proteges.
Yeah, I think yeah, absolutely. And find peers that will be honest with you, and you can be honest with them back, and you can make each other better. But I think the thing about finding mentors is great advice. I had a lot of great guys that would open some doors for me. There were other artists. And after I, got in front of their face a few times and earned their respect by doing good work and being respectful and taking their advice and their critiques taking those to heart and putting it into my work, then you start to become friends with these people, and then they will tell you what you need to do to get into business, and they will advocate for you. So yeah, definitely, I think that's great advice. Cultivate some mentors. Everybody needs mentors, and then proteges when you reach a certain level. So you can start sharing the advice you were given with the younger generation, and that's how we pass all this stuff along. And that's how we cultivate new talent. So Jack Irons posted in the chat thread. So yeah, he's another guy that just popped on my radar recently too, and he's saying I shilled the hell out of my book, and it worked for me from nothing. So there you go.
That's a good. And
go
it's a
check
great
out.
idea. He has a great idea. He was excited about it. He got me excited about it. And I dove into the universe, and it's an awesome universe.
Yeah, we backed that project as well, and yeah, I need to check in with that and see how it's going along. But yeah, go check out Jack Irons on Twitter. I really yeah, he came out of nowhere, and I like the artwork quite a bit, and I'm excited to get that comic book for sure. Let's see. So Matt Hayes 2000 asks, how do you both see crowdfunded release scheduling to work best? Quarterly or biannual releases, or is it just not possible to schedule? My thoughts on that real quick are this is a huge experiment.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going to happen on the other side of this. And my personal feeling is that crowdfunded comic books like what's happening now are going to have a certain lifespan. We're going to have to build some new platforms and institutions around getting these products into people's hands. It may work for a long time, but I think this is kind of a man in the moment thing. What do you think, Ben?
Well, and I want to hear from all of you. So you can email me at ben@at cautionarycomics.com, and Mitch, I want your opinion, because here's what I wanted to do. Okay. Now I'm not doing this yet, but let's say I had, like Ethan does, a huge YouTube channel, and that if I had funding, I would produce the whole 120-page graphic novel or more, 120 to 150-page graphic novel at a pop, prestige format, hardcover, top-notch artists. And it would maybe be out every 3 months, right? I'd be on a schedule, right? I'd have one team on The Offroader, one team on Ravage, one team on another one, and do it that way versus doing floppies. However, I think that the finances, as it stands right now for normal, and Ethan, right, Cyberfog's not a normal situation. I don't think yours is going to be normal. Yours is going to be, you have right? You have years of experience and people know you and love your art, right? But for me and Jack and some others, right, that are proving ourselves with the story, right? I was lucky enough with Chuck, but I think that's going to be something you'll still need floppies, right? In some format, but maybe I'm wrong, right? Like you said, this is all an experiment. I'm open to feedback. I love feedback. So if I ask for it, please feel free to give it to me.
Yeah. So the way it works now, because we've had we've had over the last several years a really strong relationship with some Image Comics books like Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips on Kill or Be Killed, Outcasts with Robert Kirkman and Paul Azaceta. And the way the way we wrote our contracts, we get a peek at the books and we get to see how the machine works a little bit more. And how these books become profitable in the long term. And not every Image comic book is profitable. That's for doggone sure. Like, you're taking a pretty big risk no matter what you do. If you step out on your own, actually, you're almost taking a pretty big risk working to doing comic books in general these days. So, but now with a successful Image comic book property, let's say like Kill or Be Killed, you are covering your expenses. You're paying for top quality writing with Ed and top quality art and colors with Sean and Elizabeth. And the customers that buy the book are your base that cover that if you're lucky. Now, Kill or Be Killed was very successful, but if you're lucky, your floppies will cover the expenses of your printing and your artwork. And then you'll basically have no net profit at the end of it. You'll get paid for your page rates or whatever, but there won't be any large scale royalties from floppies in an independent Image comic book type of scenario. But there's a long tail of profitability with Image, which is you collect 4 to 6 floppies in a trade paperback and you sell those on Amazon.com. And by that point, all your expenses are covered and you just have to pay for the printing and the shipping of the trade paperbacks. And then from there, after 3 or 4 trade paperbacks, you collect them in a hardcover, and then you can, have this prestige format, and you sell it at a higher price of $40 to $50, and then you have this sort of long tail of profitability, and you slowly build up enthusiasm for your projects over time, and that's the current model that I'm familiar with. Now, I think where we're venturing into is new territory. Right. So I would like to hear what people think about that and what kind of things. I know Ethan's plans. He's pretty open about his plans. He's going to do these 48-page specials, and he has 4 of them in mind. And I'm assuming he'll collect those into some sort of prestige format when they're all done. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. but my plan for Red Rooster initially was to do a big special at 48 pages. I'm just letting everybody know now, if you can fund it, our first stretch goal, our very first stretch goal will be to extend the length of the comic book, which I think everybody should be really excited about. We're going to make this thing like 56 pages or more and maybe put extra content in the back. We just want to make the book better. But these to use this money as a platform to then fund The Futurist, which is the second book I've been working on for like a decade. And we're going to be writing full force as soon as we're done with Red Rooster. And the Red Rooster is intended to be a comic book serial. And so that may change. That may change if Ethan really forges a new path. If you guys are excited about just buying stuff on Indiegogo every quarter or something like that, and we can do it that way. But yeah, definitely let us know. I just think that we're definitely in a phase of experimentation, which is exciting. And I think some great things are going to come out of it.
And I think,
is there anything to add to that, Ben?
I do. Yeah. Well, I know, I agree. I think that we all are pretty open to interacting with our customers, whatever they want. So if they like the floppy format, or we all stick to 48 pages, or, like I want to do, just go right into, a prestige original trade paperback, right? So, people can get it all over the world. They have one shipping cost. I'd ask Ethan this question when he comes on your show next, or you go on his, now that he's so successful, right? With the money that, the amount that he has, as well as diversity in comics, would they like to do one big book, right? If they had a crystal ball, they could have seen that they would have had all that, those resources. How would they have structured it? You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
What was your question one more time? I was also trying to scan through chat.
Yeah. Well, just that if they had known that they would have $200,000 to make their books, would they have just went straight to a trade paperback, right? Or would they have stuck with the 48-page format and gone along, right?
That's a great question. I think the other benefit of having that is you're able to put your product in front of in front of people that just are walking into comic book stores. So you're starting to build a psychological effect. You're building a base, a platform, beyond just your sales, like beyond just the, 20,000 people that buy Kill or Be Killed a month. 60,000 people have seen it, or 100,000 people have seen it or more, and just said, it's not the book for me, but it's in their mind, right? So then like a producer, a movie producer will think, well, yes, the book is profitable, the book is popular, but beyond that, the base is actually larger. So if you presented this as a film or a video game or whatever it is, that the base for the product is larger. But I think with the internet and our ability to engage our audience directly, like right here on this YouTube channel, that maybe changes the game on that. So like I said, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what they would do if they had 200 grand right out of the gate. Right. And I know what we're going to do if we can make that kind of money, if we can scratch half of what Cyberfrog scratches, we're going to fund books like The Futurist. And I wish I could tell you guys more about, we have something really cool planned for that. Like super cool artist in mind. I might not be drawing it myself. I might participate in that in some way. I will be writing it or co-writing it with Mark Pellegrini, who's been a godsend and a super talent. But yeah, so we're going to make other books happen with that money. That seed capital, that's the seed capital for a series of products. Nice. Now, will we stay on Indiegogo? I don't know. It sure looks that way for now, but
I plan on it, and I'm going to do, we're not doing monthlies though. We're going to definitely do something quarterly, the grind of that kind of publication every month. We want to be more of a boutique, more of a prestige artisan creative house, right? And that's what we're going to, if it takes an extra, we're going to hit our deadlines that we set, but we're going to set realistic deadlines. And the reason for that is we want the best quality. I don't want to rush our artists. I don't want to rush the creative process, but I want to give a set time that gives us a little more breathability than having a 30-day book, right? Every month that we want to put out. That's not where we're going. We want better quality than numbers of issues out.
Yeah. Now, what I want to do is get this stuff in front of as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. Yeah, I have some things. I have some irons in the fire in that regard. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know where the future of this is, where we're headed. But I certainly think we're headed somewhere. I think we're headed somewhere cool.
That's I did.
I've
I'm
been getting. I've been
saying
getting.
it.
I've been getting a lot of. I can't write everybody back anymore. I'm getting so slammed with messages and of support and cool fan art and all kinds of stuff. But I'm getting some professional artists that have been writing me
Nice.
and saying like, "Hey, you know, I like real pros, like younger guys that are just kind of coming onto my radar." Who are saying like, "Wow, you know, I love seeing what you guys are going out and doing. You know, you know, I kind of I want to do that. Like I want to go out and take the risk. I want to be outspoken in my both my beliefs, but in my enthusiasm for my own product. But I'm totally fearful of doing that. Not only because you're taking a big risk by creatively, but you have this sort of gatekeeping, this sort of corporate gatekeeping. Not even corporate. You have some like marginal gatekeeping type things going on where people will bully and harass and try to make you the butt of their attacks or whatever. And they're afraid of doing this altogether. So I think what guys like Ethan are doing is totally courageous, and hopefully I'll be right behind him, and we'll blaze a trail so that the young guys that are writing me and gals, some of them too, or that are writing me and Elizabeth as well, can come along behind us and have a place and be able to put their work in front of even more people. That's really what we're doing all this for.
Yeah, agree.
So,
I mean,
Ben, pick it up. I'm going to see if I missed anything in the chat. So if you
sure.
can take it from
Yeah,
there.
I mean, and I think from that, that democratization of creativity, right? It's democratization. That's what the internet has brought, right? You know, years ago, people would change. Well, the internet's going to change the way that humanity works, lives, plays, and learns, right? Well, it's going to definitely change how we play, and there's not any rules of the playing, right? The Gen X crowd is saying, I won't do what you tell me. I'm going to make my own creative stuff.
Yeah.
Don't tell me nothing. You know, you do you and I'll do me. You know, you do what you enjoy. Great. We're going to do what we enjoy. Great. You know,
Yeah,
and we hope everybody likes it. We hope we find middle ground, right? And then that's just that. But, you know, we think that the most creative place is, you know, I always felt when I was working in more of a collaborative creative environment that I was making camels, right? Camels are horses drawn by committee. And I don't want to make camels anymore. I'm going to deploy my horses. I'm going to do the best I can. I want to take feedback from people I like, right? But I get, as an owner of the company, I get to pick who I take feedback from. And that's invaluable. That's invaluable.
Yeah. I've been in that scenario a couple of times. Maybe I'll talk about it sometime. What happened to me in like a camel type project. I put a lot of heart and work into it and just didn't pan out at all. And it was,
you know, I can't talk about it because it doesn't look good when a bearded man starts crying profusely. So I'm not going to talk about my.
Oh yeah, I mean, these are like children that you breathe life to, and so I spent many months of work, and things didn't pan out, and there were too many people involved, and the creators didn't have the right kind of balance, and there wasn't the right publisher, and I don't like to. I'm not naming any names. I'm not that kind of guy. So I won't even name publishers or anything like that. So, but maybe I can find a way to talk about that experience in some way so that younger guys and gals that are creators can avoid those types of scenarios. And you said something else about Gen X that I thought was really funny. So there's this book called The Fourth Turning that talks about the different generations. It's one of my favorite books, and it's probably like pseudoscience. It's a pseudoscience kind of book, but it makes you think. It talks about like this sort of cyclical nature of humanity and this sort of 80-year cycles of generations. And in the book, it was written in 87 or 88. It says like at some point Gen X will save everybody. That was like their prediction, because there'll be a generation that forgets how to like be completely fearless, and this whole slacker, extreme 90s, extreme sports, grunge generation will step out and say, they'll be old, we'll be late middle-aged or whatever, and they're going to step out and say enough is enough. We got to get radical again, man. Like we got to step out and we got to be independent and do cool things and inspire the kids again. And it's kind of crazy how much that book, it's called The Fourth Turning, has sort of come to pass in its at least in broad strokes, the way they predicted that the generations would roll on. And now I see Gen X people, and I'm on the very, very, very young side of Gen X. I was born in '78. But now you see people in Gen Xers like Ethan and you and whatnot, and plenty other people in plenty other industries, like even what Kanye's doing, who's also my age. We were born around the same time, going out and just doing, just like I said, free thinking, being independent.
He killed his ego, which was very cool, interesting to see. Now, I went to California to try to find it because I wanted to revitalize his ego and take it. That would be awesome. I'd be a billionaire if I had that ego. But no, I agree. I mean, just going out and saying, I'm going to do what I want to do. Everybody, we're going to create how we want to create. That's all. You don't want to hurt anybody, insult anybody, but we're just going to have fun, right? And we hope everybody that likes it. But what I've seen from the, I have lots of kids. I have lots of nieces, nephews, lots of people that the kids are they're doing their own thing. Like they invented the thing I've gotten into in the Southeast here is my children like hip hop. It's like country and hip hop, and they hip hop, and they manage like kind of blending guitar riffs and beats, and it's cool. It's a cool new, I don't know, I think it's great. And new movies that they're making and finding their own entertainment. Because the biggest thing that got me having the kids, whenever I would do whatever entertainment they want. Right, that's pretty much it. I'm not a judge. I am a wallet for my children. I'm not a judge, unless it's inappropriate. Unless it's harmful to them, right, in some way, but inappropriate for their age, I'm going to take them to see it. But all they really want to do is go. They actually asked me to go to a con for YouTubers. They want to see some YouTubers they like, right? And they do like. But our entertainment is very different, right? It's very, at least we were out, right? And they're more, it feels to me institutionalized almost, right? With the technology.
Yeah. So your kids they're fans of like YouTube. Well, I'm fans of YouTube people. So I've been watching YouTube. I haven't watched, like, I quit watching TV like 10 or 15 years ago. Now I turn it on and it's like, oh my God. Like I actually bought a cable package for the election for the first time in my life. And I was like, oh my God, who watches this shit? Oh my God, it's awful. I don't know how anybody, I don't know how anybody functions.
But those great IPs that we love too, right? So, we've had so many, I'm concerned about it, right? So, I don't talk about it all the time, but we have a lot of intellectual properties that are just fading away. It'll fade away when the kids don't care, right? If they don't pass it on to their children, it's going to be like, oh, do you remember Dick Tracy? How many kids are running around saying, I want to be Dick Tracy? Right, I love it. They do
all have these watches already, so maybe the fantasy, they're living the fantasy. So I don't know.
But so I feel, and I'm starting to do some things with augmented reality revolving comic books. I think we talked about this, where you can have effects automatically put onto a 2D image. I want to take the medium and take the stories and entertainment to where they are, right? Whether it's YouTube or on the iPad or however you want to ingest that with a HoloLens. Right, that's where we're going. Right, I have a vast pretty big comic book collection. I'm like, kids, all of this is yours. One day they're like, yeah, we don't want that paper. What do you mean? Valuable ones. We have it all digitally. We have 100,000. And I don't like the digital approach as much, just because of the smell. Right, I love the smell of comic books. It's part of my experience. But they don't have that same experience because the comic book stores that they went to were not very inviting.
So I love I'm very olfactory.
Too.
My memories are associated with olfactory sensations.
Me too.
Like comic books and cake and all that good stuff, right? So we actually were thinking like, well, maybe we could add a scent to our books, something that the kids would really associate with. And we figured it out. Like, so they were like, I ran this by a couple of guys that were my buddies. I think it was Tim and Lim and Mark Pellegrini. We were talking about this and talking about different things, like whatever. And I came up with exactly, should I give it away?
Not yet.
Don't give it away. But I did find out exactly what kids would get kids excited. And it's, I'm not gonna give it away. So I think it could be a trade secret, because I'm gonna get kids hooked on this familiar scent, and they'll keep coming back for my books.
I really loved, and it's uniquely to you. I don't know any other campaign that can do this. Is the Kapow soda? That's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I want to do. We're gonna do it. Like I'm talking to a bottler. We're gonna make it happen.
That's great. I mean, you drink that? I envision it like old timey. Like not like sarsaparilla or anything, but just the old time colas. There used to be all different kinds of cola. It'd be great.
Yes, yeah. Everybody's trying to figure out what our scratch and sniff comics are going to be now.
I think bubblegum.
Bubblegum. They don't have any context for that, right? So it has to be in the context of what kids like, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved opening a pack of Topps baseball cards back in the day, and then eating that crusty bubblegum.
Me too.
Oh my gosh! Now we're dating ourselves, which I think we've already done.
And then the Marvel cards.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody says it's not farts for sure. That's Tim Lim. Tim Lim's in the chat. He's Air Force Bun, everybody. So Air Force Bun, you see him in the chat. That is Tim Lim. Tim is starting. Also, he's going to be working on a YouTube channel and building up an audience for his upcoming projects like Trump's Space Force. So I'm a big fan of Tim's. Tim's a great guy. He's a local guy, and we're talking almost every week now. So yeah, you can go follow Air Force Bun.
Love Tim. Yeah. Thank you, Tim. You rock.
Okay, so somebody said it could smell like an iPhone. Well, maybe we're thinking the same thing. Chats. Let me see what I've missed in chats here. Everybody wants to see my soy pants. Are you aware of this joke? Ethan was wearing sweatpants one time, and they called them soy pants. I am wearing soy pants. I will. Somebody wants to see my soy pants. Sweatpants. It's okay to work in sweatpants.
I have jeans on and a shirt that says, "Tonight I drink for Scotland."
Yeah, I think you're going to be forever the Mr. T of comic books with that all that gold dangling from your neck there.
Father's Day present with a bottle opener. Thank you, kids.
Does it chop wood?
It's pretty solid.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm not seeing any too many questions in the chat here. We had a lot of people come in. This has been my biggest live stream yet.
Wow.
100. There's about 100 to 115, 120 people here.
We have a channel over at Cautionary Comics, but it's not as active. But we do put some cool videos up there. I might live stream a little bit. I like Geeks and Gamers live stream after dark. So you might have B Hennessy after dark coming up.
Okay.
Just all chat and talk. I do want to do some interviews, but I'm also going to be coming on people's channels, supporting the community. We have our next Indiegogo that'll go live August 15th. Ravage ends July 15th. We might have another perk coming up here soon, but yeah, lots of great perks. The metal cover by Graham Nolan. We have, of course, 3-in-1 perks. We have, like I said, the special access coins are out there. You can buy a page of the book. So thanks for supporting.
So Merck has asked this question a couple times. I think I want to get Merck's question in. Merck Does Gaming asks, can you ask Ben what the best way to pitch a story to an artist is? You go first, and I'll follow that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I would work on creating a log line. So have a direct pitch that paints the story of your, for example, the Offworlder, right? I've mentioned that, and you can find it on our Instagram, right? He was sacrificed to the gods for his people. Now he has to fight an intergalactic war to save them, right? So it paints a picture of what that story will be. Then you can get into it. Or the Magus, they kidnapped the woman he loves. He's going to raise hell to get her back. So you
okay. So it's a horror. Yeah, I got you. So basically you're painting for them the movie poster.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And the environment and the world, you give them a quick sentence, like a hook, an elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it. But you got to really think though. And I hear a lot of white writers ask me, they're like, man, how do I get an artist to make all my stuff for free? And it's not really. It's not good, right? It's not. I'm sure you could find places, right? If you have people, but everybody's got to make a living, and we write, and it's great. We can often create offline, but artists, if you watch, I love watching people work, and it takes a lot of time, right? Of what you do and what Ethan does, right, to get that done. So people need to be compensated for their time.
Right. I think any artist worth his salt is going to say, well, I could just come up with my own idea if I was going to do it for free.
Right.
So, be inventive, be prepared, come with cash, and come with a great elevator pitch. Like I've seen this because I've read do a lot of screenwriting books and stuff, because it really helps. It helps me, kind of figure this stuff out, right, and be a better writer and better creator. So I know there's some advice in some screenplay books that says you're writing in some ways you're writing for a trailer, because that's what you have to sell people on. Because ultimately, when someone sees that hot movie poster and they read that 2-sentence tagline, that has to be communicated to their friends. So when they go and say, oh, the 6 of our friends are getting together and we're all going to go see a movie, and everybody asks each other, what do you want to see? The friend that has the best pitch wins every time, right? It's going to be, so you have to get your story distilled to such a point that man on the street can tell his 6 buddies, this is the movie we want to see because here's the pitch. And this man on the street delivers your movie pitch to his friends. If you can do that, then you can, put butts in the seats. So that's sort of my advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, the one thing that I want everybody, and I see some people doing, but I see a lot of people not doing, is focus on your customer and focus on who you're entertaining. You're not entertaining yourself, right? Yeah, part of it is your art, but you want to share that art with somebody, or you're just making for yourself, right? I learned that at Duke Ellington School of the Art. Art is meant for you to express and for someone else to take in that art as well, right? You miss that component, or you're just talking to a wall. Right? When you're creating only for yourself, it's just like having a conversation with a wall. And that's not what I want to create. I want to create things that people see themselves. They see stories that they can relate to. I love the real theme and morals that were put into the old comics. I love with great power comes great responsibility, right? Or people ask themselves, what would Batman do? In life. Yeah. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so King KDI says, don't forget to smash that like button. Yeah. So don't forget, smash that like button. I'm going to wind it down here, Ben.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on my channel and talking with me for an hour. Anytime. I got to go take Elizabeth and myself to the gym. We got to get jacked today.
Have fun. Hey, everybody, thank you again at Cautionary Comics, and we're on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, throw it out there. Yeah, give them the Indiegogo. Give them the last pitch. Where else can they find you on Twitter and all that kind of good stuff?
Absolutely. Yep. Indiegogo, Ravage Kill All Men. Twitter, we're at Cautionary Comic. Look for the caution, it's like the caution logo, like a caution cone. We also are on Facebook and YouTube. We have a channel, Cautionary Comics. Come check us out.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on our show. You can subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. I have a Patreon, which is kind of new. I haven't been pushing it. I don't have any links in the chat stuff quite yet, or in the deal below. I'm still figuring all this out, so be patient with me. I'll get all the links together. We're going to try to make this a really cool channel. I've got some cool interviews lined up with some really interesting and talented people. So stick around, and I think you'll want to look forward to those. We're obviously working on our Red Rooster campaign with myself, Mark Pellegrini, and my wife, superstar colorist Elizabeth Breitweiser. We're going to be launching that mid-July sometime. And we're going to be trying to build the hype for that book, and you're not going to want to miss it. So yeah, check all that stuff out. You can check out me and Elizabeth on Twitter. We're pretty active there. And I will see you guys next time. All right. Thanks, Ben.
Hey, everybody.
Bye-bye.